Welcome to the Motivated Martial Arts Podcast. Your hosts, Jackson White and Gavin Cook, have been friends and Taekwondo training partners for over 40 years. This podcast will bring you a mixture of their life stories, martial arts, and business experiences to motivate you in life and throughout your martial arts journey. Adding in a mixture of inspiring interviews and some of the best traditional martial artists around today. So over to your hosts, the Motivated Martial Artists.
Welcome to Motivated Martial Artists with me, Gavin Cook.
And me, Jackson White.
And Mark Weir, formerly known as the Wizard.
Awesome. Great to have you on the show, Mark.
No problem.
Okay, so we're looking forward to hearing all some of your old stories and how you transitioned from traditional martial arts into the mixed martial arts scene. So, Jackie, do you want to fire off the first question?
Yeah, sure. Well, pleasure to have you on the show, Mark. Great to eventually tie you down.
Yeah. It's strange that everybody talks to me now like I'm an old man, which I probably am. I'm in my 50s anyway.
Yeah, arriving into that junction of my life, if you talk to my kids, I'm definitely an old man, so that puts you in the old man category as well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Although still, like myself, probably very, very young at heart and in head.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I feel young. I roll around, I kick around with the guys, but obviously my age says it all.
Yeah, sure.
There's no getting away.
So,
there's no getting away from it, is there?
There's no escaping that.
No.
That's the one thing you can't escape, unfortunately. So I know I get the privilege of kicking things off. So what we'd like to know from our guests really is your backstory, where you grew up, your education, family life, and ultimately how that took you into your first martial arts class.
Well, I started off in boxing. That was my first love. Muhammad Ali. I used to watch Muhammad Ali on television along with my dad. And I remember while he's fighting, I remember impersonating him. I was doing the rounds with him. So that was my first love. I started boxing. I did it when I was younger, but I had a little bit of incident with my next door neighbor. I basically blooded up his nose. So my mum banned me around about 12. And I went back into it again when I was about 15, 16. And then I did a class or two, and I sparring all these guys, former MMA champions. And the guy who's training came around my house and talking to my dad about how much money I could be making. I haven't seen someone that fast and natural. And my mum overheard, and she didn't like what they're talking about. She's talking about the head damage. And she said, I'd never ask you to do anything in life, but the one thing I don't want you to do is box. And it killed me. So I was sort of walking around the house in a sort of like depression, a slump. And my sister, we're like 11 months apart, we're like twins near enough. I was in the same year with her, but I was older and she was younger. And she sort of like said, there's this art called Taekwondo. There's a friend of yours called Neil Williams. He was at boxing training. He does it to supplement, his boxing. And he goes to Taekwondo to use it. And I thought, okay, so I'm not boxing, but I'm still sort of using my ability. Yeah. And then that's how I got into Taekwondo, my first martial arts.
Okay, so who was your first instructor?
A guy called Clive Harrison.
Okay, and where was that class? What area was it in?
It's in Gloucester. Same again. It was at a school just up the road from me, and it's called Crip School. It's a Crip School, but it was quite good. It's like when I first went there, I joined in with and there's another guy who became a close training partner called El Westcar, and from there, it's basically every time we finished training, me and him used to find an empty room in the school, which you're not supposed to do, and used to move the chairs out of the way and start sparring for another hour or two, and then before everybody left, and obviously lock up, and so that sort of helped my training because I was obsessed.
Brilliant. Was that TAGB?
That was THB, yeah.
Okay.
So what year was that in, Mark, when you started that then?
I started in 1984. Okay.
Same year as me. I started in 1984.
Okay.
Like I say, I started training with Jackson's dad, Jackie Senior.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
1984. And I think you got your black belt a year before me, I think, from with Heel Chow. I got mine in 1989, I think.
Mine was 88.
Just rubbing my shoulder. When you started, I was a black belt, I recall. 1984, I got my black belt.
So yeah, they were
Giving
good.
us your old school black belt stories, Gavin.
Yeah, they were good days. They were good days. So talk us about your sort of early journey in Taekwondo, then, Mark.
I liked it. Like I said, I was more a boxer. Neil Williams is more of he was a very nice guy to me. I was a young kid. I was sort of like, he didn't like everybody was like fussing over me at boxing. So a bit jealous. So I wanted to show him a thing or two. He said he'd be good at boxing, but not in Taekwondo. So I remember asking the instructor if I can spar with the senior grades, black belts. And he said, by all means, go ahead. You know, I was a bit cocky, you know, so he sort of like, you know, just couldn't shut me up. So he just said, oh, go ahead. I remember running in front of Neil to say, right, I'm going to show you I'm good at this as well. And I remember him waving his kick in front of my face, put my hands up to stop my face from getting hit. And he just came in a straight cross to my chest and dropped me. And I had to sit out for about 2 minutes. And that was my first experience. And I'm quite vengeful because I remember I got upset. And then everything I learned, I just said, right, I got to learn to kick. I got a clue about this Taekwondo, as they call it. And from then I was obsessed on kicking. I would like trying to pick up, learn everything I can. I got heavy into the martial art movies. Hong Chong Lee, this martial artist, I used to love the way he kicked. I remember saying, right, I'm going to try and do everything he can, but better. And I just remember just training, putting a bag on the side of my house. And I'll be up there until about 10 o'clock at night, hitting the bag. It was just crazy.
So when did you get into the tournament scene? What age or so what grade were you when you went into your first competition?
It was a yellow tag, in fact. My friend of mine, El Westcar, he went to a competition, he got silver. And he came to me, he goes, Mark, he goes, I went there, I got silver. I reckon I could have got gold if I kept trying, got a little better. He goes, Mark, you just play with me. He goes, I beg you, enter the competition. I remember saying to him, I goes, look, I want to be a coach. A fighter's life is what, 5 years? You know, if you're really good, you might last to 10 years. But, you know, I want to be a coach. I want to be someone who's not got a long-term career and not a fighter's career. And he goes, and plus my mum would be very happy. He goes, yeah, but Mark, just try it. He goes, I'm telling you, you'll be so easy for you. I goes, oh, okay. So I don't want to let him down. And I went in there and it was like, basically, I have harder job in sparring in a gym than what I did in a competition. And literally, I remember just picking my one leg up, side kicking and chasing him right round the mat. I thought I didn't have to use anything, just a side kick. And I think I was very much like Tony Saw back then. Because everybody keep relating our similarities. I was like a lighter version. But I didn't have to do anything. So why change? If it's not broke, don't try and fix it. Yeah. And so I won a lot of my early competition was just basically side kicking people off the mat. That was it.
Yeah, front leg side kick. Can't beat it, can you? Can't beat it. Works every time.
Back then, a lot of it did a lot of the traditional lift the lead hand up, reverse punch. A lot of the round kicks to hook kicks, but the side kick beat it all. So that's why I did it.
Okay. And how did that then translate to when you became a black belt? Did you have to learn a few more, pull out a few more things out of your repertoire?
Yeah, as I got to red belt, plus we had a lot of team competitions, which would be any grade, fighting any grade. And we were quite good. We did quite well for ourselves each time, but with just low grades.
It used to be we used to have women in the same division back in them days, didn't you, as well?
No, yeah, we didn't have any women in ours, I'm afraid. But yeah, it was good. I had to change. I remember it was Neil Williams again. We're real close friends now, but I remember him turning to me and saying, all you got is a side kick. You haven't got anything else. And when he insults me, for some reason, I take it really personally. And it's like, I remember going back home.
I know that feeling with Gavin, yeah.
I started doing round kicks, hook kicks, reverse kicks. I was doing as many different kicks, but with power. Because the other thing people used to say, Taekwondo is okay, but it's flicky. So I was always about emphasizing that I can hit anybody, even with a twist kick, but with power. And I remember sitting at the back of my house and I was doing one kick. Because the old theory is you do a kick 1,000 times before you can even start understanding it. Yeah. So I'd stick on one kick per day. Each day of the month or of the week, I'd have a certain kick I'd be working on. And I also got faster. So then once I've knocked out my 100 or my 200, I changed to another kick. So I was doing reps as well as just basically just putting myself through the reps of each kick as well. And I just got so good at that I could put them together. I could combine. And then when we went to competitions, I could hit people with combinations which I've never seen, which is what made me, again, very, very awkward to fight.
And the question is now, how are your hips doing?
My hips are fine. Lockdown messed me up. That seized up my hips a little bit, but outside that, I've been pretty good. I've got to admit, I can't complain.
It's just an excuse you use, Gavin. That's all, not to train anymore.
Hey, I've got loads of excuses I can keep pulling out the bag.
I know, yeah, 101 list of Gavin's excuses. So, talk us through your first black belt competition, there, Matt. Because obviously, once you hit that, come out the colour belt divisions, the standard increases. What weight did you go into?
Well, I went into middleweight, and then was it middleweight or light heavy? I think I went to light heavy. I can't quite remember, because eventually I started doing 2 weights. I think it was middleweight, because I remember Roger Lawrence is in that same one, I think.
Yeah, probably middleweight.
Or I might be mistaken. Yeah, sorry, I'm wrecking my... light heavy. I know it's light heavy now, because Roger Lawrence was the one below me. And when I went in, there was Steve Reddy, and he was in the England team. And there was another guy in there, but I can't remember his name. And Steve Reddy and Roger Lawrence used to have a lot of wars behind them too. But Steve Reddy was in there and someone else. And it's my first black belt competition. And basically, I just went through them. And they said, right, they thought they'd be not put in my place. And I just didn't have no problems again. And it's horrible, because as soon as I did that, Dave Oliver took him out the team and put me straight in his place. So I got into the England team straight away on that day, literally. And I could beat 2 England team members, and I didn't look like I had any problems. So he wanted the best team for the first ever big championship, World Championships in '88.
88, yeah. I remember it well. I remember the 88 and the 91. Granby
Halls, yeah.
Yeah.
Leicester, that was good.
Yeah, were you in the 91 one? Were you in the? I remember watching you in the final of the team event, and there was an A team and the B team, and the B team won, didn't they?
I was put in a B team. I know. It was my second time. I won the World Championships. World champion. What it is, I got a close friend of mine. We went up into black belt together. He was a bit behind me, Michael Lambert, and we're absolutely
Mikey,
brilliant. Yeah, coming through the belts. His mum, who's passed now, Mavis, used to always come up and have sandwiches for me. So me and Michael. But she always knew that me and Michael were going to fight in the finals. She said, come over to me. I'll have my little daughter. She said, babysit for me as well. And she said, always have, good, Mark, I got you packed lunch. So I didn't have to bring anything, because she looked after me. And then in the end, as usual, me and Michael was in the finals, into red belt finals, until I left. And when I left, Michael started winning every single one. And so he was my sort of like nemesis. And then in the second World Championships, he wasn't there for the first, me and him fought. I think we were in a semi-finals before, no, quarterfinals. I can't remember where, because I think he got silver and I got gold. But they put me in a B team and put Michael in an A team. But he came over to me and complained and said, "I'm going to say something." And I said, "Mike, it's not our doing. Basically, don't set a bad air. Just leave it as it is." I just left it as it is, really. All I heard is like, "This is what I'm picking. If you've got any complaints, come to me directly," which I'm not going to do. And that was the manager and the boss. And I just kept myself quiet. And then, funny enough, Neil Williams was with me as well, because he trained with me leading up to the second World Championships. He got really good. He was my nemesis in Gloucester, and he ended up being my partner. So training partner, so it's quite good. And his level went up, training with me every day, day in, day out. And then he got into the B team with me.
And the B team won.
Okay.
The B team won in the end, didn't they?
So who did you have on the other week? The other week, Gavin, was it? Who was in the B team? Who got put in the B team as well?
It was Mark Osborne.
Yeah, Ralph Minute.
That's it. We were talking to Mark Osborne.
And Ralph. I think Ralph Minute was in the B team, wasn't he? Or was it Ralph in the A team? I forget now.
Yeah, Ralph was in there. Was it Dorian? I don't know. Someone else was in there as well. I don't know if it's Dorian. There's a guy called Dorian.
Yeah, Dorian Bottom. Yeah, he was. I think he was in the. Yeah, it might have been the A team, I think. But
yeah, what a great upset, hey! There's nothing but a bit of B team motivation, is there, to prove?
Yeah, because Mark Osborne beat. Mark beat Kim. I remember that.
That's
And
right,
yeah, obviously they said I was going to win my weight division. And with Neil Williams, he drew luckily. So that's because he was supposed to lose that, but it was good. It was
Yeah, but
quite exciting.
didn't you go out for the final round? Well, I think you were called out, didn't they? There wasn't there a decider.
Yes,
I'm sure you went
out
out for the final round.
Yeah, they're going to bring out the two. Yeah, it's Holland, I think. They have to bring out their strongest fighter.
That's it.
And although I'm not the biggest one, but they said I was the strongest. I went out there and had to win the fight. And then suddenly everybody was behind me, the manager, everybody, even though they kicked me into the into the B team, they knew I was going to win, and they just all behind me. And that's history set.
It is. You know, it's interesting. We spoke to a lot of the TAGB members. Some of them were in those squads. Some of them were. Some were in the audience watching. And that was the one fight that everyone talks about in the whole championships. You going out on that decider. Yeah. So great memories, great times. You can't plan it.
I don't mind pressure. I don't mind whatsoever. You know, that's one thing I've realised. As soon as everybody's on me and pressuring me, I perform. So I was lucky because some people fold with the pressure, and I think that helped me with my career in full contact MMA. The more pressure you give me, the better I become. But I don't know why. It's just maybe that's a true sign of a warrior. Some people fold. I go the other way. I feed off it.
Yeah. No, it's and you see that in a number of sports. So if you look at football, you see some, and you even see it in your martial arts clubs. You've got some great club fighters, haven't you? You look at them and think, oh, that guy would be brilliant. You put them into the ring, and that bit of pressure, they freeze. They can't perform. Yeah. You know, and we've certainly seen that in our own clubs where we've got some great students. You think, get them out there, and they'll perform. If they can't absorb that pressure and use it as a positive energy, then they're lost. But I think, you see that, where guys, great club players even in Premiership football, put them on the international stage with that bit of pressure. It's very psychological, isn't it?
Yeah, I've seen people through history when they get to the topical, the pinnacle of their sport, they've just changed. They fold, and it's a shame sometimes because they can't deal with all that attention sometimes. It's a make or break situation. That's why championships are not always a better fighter. Is a person who's got a better mind, control over their fears and that.
Yeah. So you say you did 91 World Championships then. So when did you step away from the sort of traditional martial arts world into the MMA realm, Mark?
Right. What happened? I started working at door security and that. I went down that road, and it's due to the fact that some guy wanted to spar with me in my own town, and he's meant to be quite hard or quite tough. And from then, it's like after sparring with him, and basically he didn't have a chance. He said, "I've got to have you working doors with me," and then he brought me in, and I got this chat. It's real weird. This guy goes, "Look, this is not the arena. This is not a competition or tournament. This is a real stuff. This is a street, and this is a manager of this club. He's telling me, like, talking down to me, like, I'm a martial artist, but this is, that's all it is." And he goes, "Okay." And I remember this big guy who got kicked out. Back then, you're allowed to fight, and he was hard work. And I remember he gave this guy some problems. And basically, he don't want to pay. He walks in, and no one can stop him, and they're all frightened of him. So I remember him walking in, and I remember locking him up on this tying him up with this nerve hold, with holding inside the neck. Brought him out, put him outside, and said, "No, you're not coming in." And he just looked at me, and he just walked off. And then from that moment, I was a star of them. I was a star of all the guys. I would go in because I don't like the cold, do the tickets, walk around inside, and if anybody came to the doors, if they got they're handy or they're having problems, all you'd hear is call Mark Weir to the door. And so I used to be the man when there's any problems, come to the front door and sort them out. And I think that helped me with my fighting, because this is in '91 I started working the doors.
The cooler king. They should have got you on Roadhouse.
But I was just really quiet. I was really nice to everybody. A lot of the doormen back then, they were on stuff. They got a lot of attitude. If they didn't like someone, they sort of like take him back, and sort of beat him up. I hated guys like that. I never had to prove anything. So a lot of people used to call me the nice doorman. And but what happened? The police approached me. I never had a record, And then a few years after that, I ended up teaching the whole of Gloucestershire door safe and door security, which is which is very good.
Okay.
Very good for a reputation.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So talk us through your first full contact bout then, as you were transitioning into the full contact world.
What happened after the first World Championships, I approached Tony Saul. It was his second World Championships and it's my first. And I sort of asked him or begged him if we can work out together. And I remember giving this funny look and said, "Oh, you might have something worth working with," or something snarly. I can't remember what it was. So sarcastic. And I remember hearing about him and his brothers are meant to be really all good. And I remember going down to Derby, and my first days, him and his brothers there. I can't remember which brother it was. I know Howard was one of them.
Howard. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't Howard. It was I can't remember the other brother. But
Mikey?
his brother, Mikey, yes, Mikey. His brother is more like me. He was fast. Tony's a bit heavier, a bit slower, but super, powerful. His brother was a bit more like me, lightweight. It was light heavyweight, sorry. He's super fast, and the combination is a bit more like me. So it's like fighting a mirror version of me. And I remember Tony put me in the middle, and I have to do certain minutes with him, certain minutes with his brother, and I had to go back and forth, and I had no rest. So, but the benefit was I was getting better. I remember getting caught a couple of times. Got hit once real bad by his brother. And like I do, I went home and I said, I don't want that to happen again. And I remember training even harder, dissecting what happened there, working on my side kicks combination. So it's really, really strong. And Tony introduced me to power. And then from that moment, I never went back. By the time I went to the second World Championships, I could jab someone with a side kick effortlessly and send them across the mat without trying. So that was down to Tony teaching me appreciation of power. And then I realized how powerful I could hit. I always loved my boxing, which I realized I could hit hard anyway. But now I could hit hard with my legs. So what happened? I wanted to see if it's for real. Can I fight other sports, the best sports, Thai boxing, full contact karate, at their own game? And then I started dabbling and challenging. Interrupted it.
No, so you muted yourself there, Mark. It's okay, carry on.
Sorry, that was a call. Yeah. So basically, when I went into, as I went across, I wanted to challenge better sports like Thai boxing, full contact karate at their own game and see if I could still, with Taekwondo ability, still beat them at their own game, which I did, in fact. And I still, it was slightly different. Although they wind up their kick and I telegraph their kick, I'm more of a combination, and it's hard to read. They might see my first leg, the kick coming out, then I could change direction and hit him just as hard or twice as hard with a combination kick.
Do you think there was quite a big advantage because obviously TAGB Taekwondo is very much off the front leg, isn't it? Lots of kicks off the front leg, where obviously, traditional full contact type kickboxing, a lot of the stuff is, like you say, telegraphed off the back leg. Do you think that gave you an advantage?
Yes, yeah, because you see in MMA now, there's a lot of people who can do off the lead leg. There's a lot of fighters out there, some of the better kickers. So the greatest knockouts to the face is off the front leg, snapping front kick, and then knocking people down. I've done it myself. I did it in a UFC 40. I remember dropping a guy. I didn't beat him by rights, but as he done that, he shot in and grabbed me to the floor. But the way we're fighting is everybody's taking up, all the best champions, John Jones, they're all taking up Taekwondo now, just to appreciate that lead leg.
Yeah. Okay. So talk us through your first fight. Really, not so much what happened, but the build up to it, how you felt about it. Were you worried? Were you nervous? How did it go?
First full contact fight.
Yeah.
It was okay. I went in. A lot of my competitions, I'd hit to the side kick to the body. I remember doing a couple of round kicks ahead, and that was it. It was like a couple of round kicks, and then the person either go down to the floor. A lot of times I used to think they're faking it. I don't know what it is. Okay. I don't know. It seemed like, I realise it's not now, because even with the quickest knockout, I looked like it was fake. You know what I mean? It's like, I caught the guy, he ran into it, the impact. I always just think to myself, ain't you supposed to feel the impact? And I was thinking, I explained to people, when you hit someone properly, you don't feel it like you're hitting a heavy bag. It's like going through butter. It's like they're not there. It's like you hit them, You hit the person, but the punch or the kick doesn't slow down, and that's where the power is. If it slows down and you've got that resistance, it's too solid. It's basically to knock them out.
A number of times I've been abroad fighting, and you hit them, and they're out cold. And you said to Dave, I didn't touch him. Honestly, I hardly touched him. Actually, you're right in what you're saying. It's the speed, it's the accuracy.
Yeah. So what I relate, I tell people, you want to be like a bullet. You can pick a bullet in your hand, you can pick it up and throw it up, and it's hardly weigh anything. But the speed it comes at that gun, it'll take it off the floor. Do you know what I mean? And that's equivalent to what your kick or punch. Your punch and kicks could be like a bullet, exploding.
Acceleration.
Takes acceleration launches you, and that's what I survive off. That's the reps I think I did when I was back in my garden. 1,000 kicks or 100 kicks, per night. And that helped. Did
you work predominantly on the heavy bag?
Yeah. Put it this way, when you start hitting properly, a small bag is like hitting a cushion. It doesn't exist. You've got to have a heavy bag. You don't feel like you're kicking anything otherwise, and that's dangerous anyway. It's dangerous on your joints. So I remember getting a bag, then trying to find a heavier bag, then putting sand in it. I was trying to always get in it. My bag was always increasing in size and weight.
Okay.
So from your first full contact fight, let's talk about this amazing knockout. I love watching it. I watch it 100 times.
Oh, the
awesome that you fired out.
What? No, MMA. The MMA.
Yes. Yeah.
That was UFC.
Talk us through that then.
Okay. So everybody's goal is to be in this big event. The biggest event in the world is UFC. Coming through the MMA ranks, that's my goal, because I knew that was like back then. TAGB, Taekwondo was the biggest martial arts back in '88. I remember being, it was amazing. That was equivalent to what UFC is now. And going through that, and I went to full contact where K1 started to get big. And to be the best at MMA, I've got to be on the world stage. And so I aimed for UFC. I beat 2 veterans. They just won on the UFC, and they got brought over to England, and I took them out within first or second round. The first guy was the first round, the next opponent, Benny Wood, I took him out in the second round. And then UFC basically phoned me up and begged me to come on their show. And then they said, they pulled me off and said, look, we're going to come over to England. And so they came over here, and I thought, right, here we go again. And everybody was telling me about the lights, the glamour, the pressure. They always talked about, most people, when they do well, they come to UFC and they don't do so well on their first debut. And I just had confidence, because I think, funny enough, every time I'm on a new stage where it's big and I got to make an impact, I do the same thing. I make an impact. So I sort of was feeding off the pressure everybody's giving me. And I remember hearing I'm fighting this guy called Eugene Jackson, who's a knockout specialist. And the guys were saying, Mark, I think they don't want you to win this. They've stitched you up. And do you know what? The same thing happened. My first fight in Taekwondo was a guy called Philip Amiris, and he was Eli Chow's #1 guy. They brought him over, and he had a demonstration with Kim Stones, and he took Kim Stones to pieces. I remember that, picking him out. And the same thing, they thought my first Taekwondo fight, I was going to lose that. I won it easily. And so I remember in an interview, they said, oh, so you got Eugene Jackson. He's really strong. If you're powerful, he's very good at knocking people out. I said, yeah, but he's never fought anybody with good legs. I remember saying that my reach and my legs would make the difference. And I remember thinking to myself, I've got to use my range, which I call range fighting, my obviously my gym and that. And it came out. I remember him setting me up to try. I could tell he's going to try and hit me. I remember throwing that, because his hands are up anyway, so I've got to clear that path. I remember hook kicking his hands totally out of his way. And as I hooked, stepped forward, and he's coming in to try and hit me, and my hand hit him at the impact. And I always say to people, think about it. He's running in at me, and he's 30 miles an hour. I'm throwing my punch at never 60 miles an hour. That's like a 90 miles an hour impact. Yeah. And when he hit me, he was out before it, and I just carried it on. It was horrible to watch, but it's just science. That is all I beat him on, science. And that's the way fighting should be.
Yeah.
It should be, technique over strength.
No, definitely. So what did that feel like for you on that big stage afterwards?
Nothing. You can't have any. You can't even talk about anything like that. It's like it was unreal. I've had highs. I remember after going back to my background of Taekwondo, I was in magazines, And I was amazing. It was watching me, you know, I was in all these magazines, American magazines from the Taekwondo I'd done. And I remember, you know, little bits he talked to me about the full contact, about the MMA. And then suddenly I did this. And then I was talking to celebrities and they were approaching me. You know, from that point, I remember because I remember approaching a guy called Chet Liddell. And I said, oh, I wouldn't mind training with you. Because I remember after World Championships.
Kempo, man.
That's again. Oh, yeah.
Chuck Liddell has got the best hands I've ever seen.
Yeah, he's powerful. Yeah,
Unbelievable. Yeah. They just seem to come at like these strange angles, don't they? You know, when he punches.
Yeah, but have you seen the shoulders on him?
Yeah.
You ever see us? You know, everybody fears gorillas. He looks powerful. When he walks, he's like that. He's like a gorilla. He's like, you think flipping out. If he grabs hold of your hits, he just walks like that. You know, walks with power. It's just unreal. But I remember asking him if he wants. I remember asking Tony Sewell straight after the World Championships, and I thought, right, I've just done this. I approached Chuck. He was congratulating me on my fight. I remember another champion at the time. The champion was there was Tito. He was begging me, but everybody went to Tito. Everybody always went to his camp because he's the flavor of the moment. I said to Chuck, I goes, oh, I wouldn't mind training with you. He goes, I haven't got a camp. I goes, and as a joke, I said, well, we'll make one. And he goes, look, I really want to come over and train with you. And he goes, okay. So I took his details down. And it's funny enough, leading up to the end of that year, he was in Pride, and he lost a fight in Pride, I remember. And then he lost another one with a guy called Randy Couture.
Randy
Couture, big name.
Yeah. I remember watching the fight. Brilliant fight. He was a wrestler, wasn't he? Yeah,
and he beat Chuck, and he tore a knee. He got a knee injury. So I spoke to him, and he goes, "Look, Mark, I've got an injury, just preparing, and you can come over. It's the early part of the year. I can't remember what year it is. I went over, and then went over, and he was trying to build himself up. He's motivated. He says his dream fight is Tito, and then I got a call. He got it from him. He says, and he told me he's got the fight with Tito. He goes, great. He goes, I'll come over and I'll help you. And I went over there, and I remember sparring, and everyone I sparred with, they got dropped with a front kick to the chest. And I remember John Ackerman looking at me. He said, where? Chuck Liddell, over in that corner. And then for the whole session, it was just me and Chuck going through round after round. Because Chuck's main training partner, kickboxing guy, he was away in Holland fighting. So I became his main training or stand-up fighter. And what was good, as he went and did his wrestling, he would introduce me to a wrestling coach, and then I'd do wrestling drills as well. So I learned how to wrestle like the Americans. So it allowed my MMA game to improve as well. But that first fight opened doors for me, because I didn't know back then, but I was linked with one of the greatest light heavyweight champions ever in the world.
Yeah. Most
you know, and here's a funny thing. What's his nickname?
Iceman. They're both the Iceman. Tony Sewell.
Yeah.
I was just about to say that. I was like, Chuck Liddell and Tony Sewell, the two mentors that you had, both called the Iceman. You should, you know. Yeah.
So you can understand, I felt it was fate for me to, to meet Chuck, to train with Chuck. I said, that's fate. He's the Iceman as well. And his attitude, he's like a kid. He looks like he's unbelievable. He took me around, chaperoned me. He paid for everything. I didn't have to put my hand in my pocket. I felt like a bit of a leech, but he just did everything for me. Unbelievable guy.
But you must have learned so much. You must have learned so much from them days.
Oh yeah. I remember this is a high moment from that quickest knockout. I go into, I think it was Starbucks in America. I remember going in there, and people recognized me in America. They goes, oh, the Iceman, Liddell. Oh, the Wizard. I thought, just that one little thing. I thought, I can't be. I never had that in Taekwondo. The Taekwondo is in that circle, but these are just general public people watching television. I thought, and I remember going into I can't remember what store it was. It was a store, and then we had to set up a table, and I think Chuck had to make a call, and then to get confirmation they were allowed to do it, and they set up a table, and then we're doing autographs for about an hour, and that's just randomly walking into a store. I can't remember what store. It must have been a big store over there, and then the next minute we're signing autographs for another hour, and it's just it's a knife. It can get to you if you're not careful, but it's amazing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. So how many fights did you end up having in the UFC?
I had 3. Like I said, I had a hard path. I had another guy called Philip Miller, never been beaten. He was King of the Cage champion. And that fight is one of my best fights I ever had in MMA. It was so seesawing. I remember him taking me down. I did a triangle, tried to slam me. And then I remember sitting up, doing punching. People never seen anything like that before. And then I remember he got up. I knocked him down with a front kick to the face. It was just nice. His skill set, his chin was like granite. And but he's just solid. I don't know what happened. And then I remember after that fight, because everybody wanted to see where he's going to next. And he sat in a lobby on his own. I don't know if he's concussed or I don't know. I'm not sure what was wrong. But they said that, you know, that was a hard fight. And then he retired. Never fought again after that.
Really?
How did you find your ground game? Obviously, because you're coming from a stand-up background. Was it difficult? No, I never had a problem whatsoever.
When it comes to grappling, I was just natural at it. I entered a few competitions prior to MMA, leading up to it, and I remember even on the first UFC, there's a guy called Elvis Sinisek, and I was rolling around with him for 20 minutes, and he's like the big phenom who's like grappling king, and I remember turning around, he goes, "Wow, your ground game's really good," and that gave me more confidence.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is where people's mistake is. I think, although I gravitated to boxing and I was like basically adapted, I also adapted to kickboxing. But when it came to martial arts on the ground and grappling, again, I was natural. So I think I'm just very coordinated. Yeah. It's either that or I've got a good ability to break things down. And it's like, that's why when I was kicking, I was punching, or even grappling, I'd not make things up. But if I can think a possibility of angle or what I could do, I'll try it anyway. And that's where everybody at my gym started calling me the wizard, because I was like coming up with things they've never seen before, or
magic.
I was
magic tricks.
Yeah, self-creative. Yeah, self-creative. Yeah. But I don't believe it's new. It's just, I just think it's just a matter of time. Like now, people are recognizing like Superman punches and, you know, overhands. People are jumping off the cage now. Yeah. Anthony Pettis. Yeah, you know what I mean? And anything's possible.
It's innovation, isn't it? It's just innovation.
Exactly.
You know, you've got to keep innovating in whatever you do. And you know, some people are just trailblazers, aren't they? You know, if you're the first to do it, you know. In
Taekwondo, I remember one of the things everybody's picked me up on is like, Mark, you actually use a twist kick as one of your main techniques. You know, because I used to twist kick people to the face and come back with a side kick. And I said, anything is possible if you drill with it long enough. And that helped me when I went into full contact as well.
Yeah, see, I mean, the twisting kick's a powerful kick. It's just really difficult to hone it, isn't it? It takes time.
But it doesn't look it. It doesn't look it. If someone came to me when I first started and said twist kick, I think that looks a bit flicky, but it's very powerful. I've seen a knockout in one of the MMA shows with a twist kick.
Really?
Yep, I've seen it. I've actually
I could just about get a twist kick with my right leg to about knee height, I think. And then my left is a no hope, mate. It's all in the hips, isn't it? It's all in the hip flexibility.
Yeah. But on that note, just, you know, my last fight ever, when I was 45, everybody knew it was. I had one of the referees who does UFC.
Was this 42? UFC 42? 45, okay.
I was 45 years old. I was in an MMA fight. It's up north.
Okay.
And this guy wanted to be in the UFC. He thinks he's the next big thing. He's beating some great names. And the pressure was on because I was meant to be over the hill. So again, everybody's pressuring me, saying that I should leave it there. And I said, no, I'm going to do one more good big fight. I'm going to go out like I came in. And this guy's meant to be, and everybody's talking about, you know, how he should destroy me. And I remember a bit of exchange. I must have hit him. He shot in on me. I remember trying to take me down, leant forward, unusual way of doing it. I grabbed him in this lock I was messing around with, got his back, took him down, choked him out in about a minute something, end of fight. That was my last fight. Although I came in great with stand-up, I ended it on the ground. And you know, that's
adaptive. That's very adaptive, isn't it?
And I think what made me win that fight was the pressure. You know, it's a pressure. So I think I'm a better pressure fighter. When people pressure me, I perform. Because I could win titles, but I had a real problem keeping it when the pressure wasn't on me no more. And I realised that. That's one of my flaws.
What? Yeah. What's one? Sorry, Jack.
I wouldn't say it's a flaw because I think it's a great recognition. You reckon that's an area where you are not as strong. So I wouldn't say it's a flaw. It's definitely an area of recognition, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you can,
Yeah.
you know. So what did you do? So I mean, I would say I wouldn't say I'm similar, but when it comes to saying I'm going to do something, I need that pressure. I do it, but I need to create pressure of almost peer pressure. So if I'm as an example, if I'm going to go and do something, I'll tell 100 people I'm going to do it, and they'll go, "Nah,
so
you never do it." And I'll tell them, so I have to do it, and that's how I generate that pressure for myself.
Yeah,
just try and generate.
I realize,
so, you know, I'm self-motivated, but I need that filter or that blocker that I've told people I've got to put my money where my mouth is, and I've got to commit to what I've done.
Commit to it, yeah. That's why there's a lot of times. It's like especially in the MMA world, which I ended up in. I won everything. I won besides that, I got one of the quickest knockouts that stood for 5 years. Best debut. But I went to WEC, which the UFC bought because the show was that big, and I got a title in that. That was in America. I captured that. So I was the first person from England, international fighter, to win a title in the States, which is not on the record, but it's actually on a. If you look on the record, you look on the dates and everything else, I was the first guy to do that. I won. There's a show called Cage Rage, which was massive. Had all the big names, Anderson Silva, they're all on it. I won that one as well. You name the show I was on, and there was a belt. I got it.
So
but then after I got the belt, it was hard keeping it because I had to get motivated. I mean, so I'd keep it for a little bit, and then I know eventually I'll be losing it if I don't. You know, if I don't get motivated or I don't get a threat, I got to be threatened.
Who are your favourite UK fighters at the moment? How do you still follow the UFC?
Yeah, 100%. The greatest MMA fighter is not fighting no more. Michael Bisping, outright.
I was going to say Bisping. I mean, I followed his career all the way through from when he was on The Ultimate Fighter. Remember?
Yeah, originally he was Cage Rage. He's on there with me, and I remember I was a big star back then. But me and him always got on. And then all of a sudden he grew and grew, and he just took over. It's just unreal, and he did amazing. He's one of my.
His favourite fight of mine. I tell you what. Well, I forget the guy's name now. You'll know it. So he did The Ultimate Fighter, didn't he? Remember when they all stayed in the house in the US, didn't they? And they had to fight for the place to become in the UFC. And there was him and this other guy. And his first fight that he had, or the fight to get in the UFC. And it was just an absolute war. You know, it was an out-and-out war. And there were two, and I think Dana White ended up giving both of the two guys a contract.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it was
Michael Bisping, his resilience, cardio, he's got no quit in him.
Yeah. He's got a detached retina now, I think, isn't he?
Yeah. But what he's got his lifestyles now is unbelievable. It's worth it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. What about MVP? So you've been following him?
I've met him. I've been at London Shoot. I used to train with them as well. Towards the end of my career, I got up there. I used to do a lot of training sessions with them. And I met MVP a couple of times. His dad, obviously, was on a circuit when his dad passed, unfortunately, recently. And he remember coming down, he sat next to me saying, "Oh, my dad used to talk about me. He remembers me back in the day." So I got on with him very well. And a few times I've been to when he's been fighting, I sort of introduced my son to him. And but he's doing unbelievable for the sport. Yeah, but he's on Bellator, isn't he? He's not on UFC.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. We're trying to pin him down to get him onto the podcast as well. So
it's gonna be hard to pin. Yeah, I did. I remember I was in UFC in Miami. I had someone like Vin Diesel waiting for me backstage. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's the sort of celebrity people. And then that's what I say. It's like when you got that sort of lifestyle going around, it's hard to find time for your normal life. That's why MVPs can be hard to
live it and love it while you have. Yeah. But you got to. You know what? It doesn't last forever, so you've got to enjoy it while it's there, haven't you?
Yeah, I always believe in being grounded because it makes you feel like you've got more to achieve. I don't think you should surround yourself. It's like if you come into my house, you can't see anything to do with martial arts. You see little quotes from Muhammad Ali and stuff like that. But until you go to my garage, then it's flooded. Then you know I'm a fighter. My garage is where I train, and it reminds me of what I've got to try and achieve. But the main thing is like now is like I'm sitting back. The quickest knockout is always coming back on me. And now, because it got me a deal with talking to Sky. I talk about the UFC with Sky. So it was quite nice with that, doing that sort of thing. That all that is from that one fight. So although people say, "Oh, I had the quickest knockout," it's not that. It's what it does years after.
Sure.
You know, and it's like I've been even Michael Bisping's got a book, and he mentions about that. That changed the sport of MMA in England when they see me do that. So there's only two guys, me and another guy called Ian Freeman, and he beat the Golden Boy, which UFC is behind. And so me and Ian Freeman became automatic stars in the sport of UFC. And that's that then is still paying. I'm paying dividends now for me.
No, yeah, good. Yeah, right, and rightly so. It's good to see that, you know, outside of being a coach and outside of being a fighter, that there's a path. It's almost, you know, there's an industry now built around martial arts. You don't have to
and
just
you can
be
make
a
a
coach or a
comfortable
martial arts
living.
teacher now. And that's nice to see, because certainly we've seen in the martial arts industry that always hasn't been the case. Once you finish fighting, if you didn't become a martial arts instructor, that was it. But now to have that wider diversity in the ability to make a living from it and enjoy the sport and then give back into it as well, I think that's good.
Yeah, the main thing I remember always thinking to myself is like most of the instructors I've seen is like their living is the schools, and they'd have to open another school, then another school, and then that's how they make the money. But with MMA, you know, you can open one school. If you've got good fighters in it, you make obviously on every fight they make, you get a percentage, 20%. And it's like, so now the more pro fighters you're producing, the more money goes into the gym. And then all of a sudden you're building up this,
then, isn't it? And you're building that reputation,
and also and then also sponsorship now. That's following the sport.
Yeah,
that's something we didn't have before. So that pays you as well. So it's a lot of angles. That's the main thing.
No, that's good. No, it's good. So from the now you retired. What are you doing now? Are you coaching? Obviously, you mentioned you're doing a little bit with Sky Sports, commentating on UFC. Are you coaching? Are you developing fighters?
Yeah, I've got a guy fighting 2 weeks from now on 26th. It's horrible because I have to go there on a Tuesday, get COVID tested. We've got the whole building is in lockdown. We've got given days when we can go to the gym or what they've arranged for the gym, and you've got allocated times you can't associate with anybody. So from Tuesday to Saturday, I'm going to be probably miserable. And so this is Cage Warriors, and Cage Warriors is linked to UFC, and a lot of they vet them. So I got a guy doing his debut on there, but my path is amateurs, a lot of pros. I've had a lot of pros back in the day, some of the top #1 guys in the country, and I've produced a lot of the top #1 amateurs as well, because a lot of guys go to this show called IMAF, which is the new way of fighting. You go through this amateur path, and if you do IMAF, you become champion, which he won bronze and silver, and then suddenly your other path could be actually going towards UFC after that.
Okay. So do you talent spot? So if there's fights, I mean, this goes out to quite a large audience of martial artists. If we got some people that are in, let's say, into a bit of Kung Fu or Taekwondo, and they want to start getting into the MMA game, can they contact you? Can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's not a problem. The main thing is it is different. The main thing is putting in the work. Like you said, some people don't gravitate to the ground. Some people, takedowns, kicking or punching. It's all about not just about having the skills to kickbox, to wrestle, to grapple. It's about putting it all together. It's a combination. What I do to my fighters, I just let them fight. I do it. Someone who does MMA in front of them, who can control everything. I attempt to fight them, spar with them, and their natural ability will kick in defensively. And then what I look for is what they can use defensively, and that's how I build. And then also I look at the main weakness they got, and that's the other area to build. So they've got two paths: the biggest strengths and the biggest weakness, and then it's about meeting it in the middle. The things that they're okay about, I leave. And then what happens, I find, is the fastest path to becoming a good martial artist, all-round martial artist. And that's my secret to anybody going in and training. Don't believe that you should be good at it because you're good at something, like good at boxing, kickboxing, jiu-jitsu. Doesn't matter. Don't make a difference.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you, because obviously you've got a very, very well-rounded sort of martial arts career, but obviously a lot of it in the earlier days when you were younger and, you know, was obviously your Taekwondo background. Would you recommend people going into the MMA scene to come from a traditional martial arts background first, or would you think they're better off going straight in as almost like a blank canvas and learning different arts at the same time?
I think when you got a foundation, 100%, I prefer you, because you got honor, discipline, and you know, main thing, you don't mind. You got integrity. There's a lot of the 5 tenets what we used to have: courtesy, integrity, self-control, double spirit, you know, the rest of it. But it's like,
you can still remember them. They're ingrained in you, aren't they?
yeah.
I tell you what, Mark. I bet you can't remember the interpretation of Dangun, can you?
Named after the Holy Dan Gun, the legend founder of Korea. But,
no. Gold star.
I tell you what, that shit sticks with you, mate.
I know. But as I said, what happens when they come back in a raw? It's discipline and the respect can't be instilled. You try to, but when you're doing like sets down the line, the katas, the patterns, that gives you that little sense of respect and discipline. Now, people that are raw and they come straight from the street, they got this street element about them.
Yeah.
And what happens? You can develop them into a good fighter, but then if they're successful, you can take the cat out of the jungle, but you can't take the jungle out of the cat. And some of them go back to this, you know, I'm good. And they have this street element where they walk with a swagger, and they start, you know, they think it's because they can fight. They think they're a street fighter, and they got to realize they're martial artists.
Yeah.
So you find people like GSP, Joseph Pierre. He carries that martial art attitude, the way he's polite, respectful. Anderson Silva, they're respectful because they come from a background of martial arts. The ones that are more likely going to have attitude and be ignorant and that is the ones that come from straight into MMA. Yeah. And so not everybody, but I'm saying that there's a risk of that, and I see it all the time. And I try to, because I'm not pushy, I'm not big-headed, I'm respectful. So I try to force my students to realize there's the code you have to follow. Yeah. And that's that's the main thing.
I think it's awesome that you said that, you know, because like I say, we interview predominantly traditional martial artists, and everybody we meet are polite, they're friendly, they're nice people. You don't become a good martial artist without being a nice person or having
that discipline structure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because it forms your life right from when you start. You know, you're used to having to do your gradings. You're used to constantly failing and picking yourself back up and going on to the next step. And people that are, you know, haven't got that, you know, they don't make it. You know,
the thing what you got to remember. At the beginning, I said that I didn't want to be a coach because I want to be a coach. Sorry, I don't want to be a fighter. Yeah. The fighter's life is 5 to 10 years.
Yeah.
And you got to remember, I started fighting, world champion at 88. And by the time I finished, I was 45 years old. I was 20 when I started, on the big stage.
Yeah.
And from 20 to 45 years old, 25 years. And each time where I thought my career, I've done great, something else would happen. Yeah. Then I thought I did great at K1, something else would happen in MMA. And so I realized the discipline to rewrite the book, open it and start from scratch, another chapter, was that discipline came from martial arts. Because each belt, each grade, each dan, it teaches you to reset yourself. If you're going to achieve the next one, you've got to, whatever you've got and achieved, remember that, but build off it. Yeah. And that's what I did as a fighter.
Build on that platform, pivot and build again each time.
How do you teach that to someone who's never did any traditional martial arts?
Well, it's very difficult, isn't it? Really, really difficult. Yeah.
And my analogy to that, my parents are business people. I was very, very lucky where I was brought up. They pay for everything for me. And what I said to someone, you've got two guys. One's worked 10, 15 years building up this company. The other one is wealthy. He got to 25 and his family just went over and goes, here's £1 million, boom, right on his lap. Yeah. Right? in the next 10 years, who do you think is going to be the most successful person out of those two?
Definitely not the one that's like put on his lap.
Yeah,
Definitely
he'll
not.
probably go out,
And
celebrate, drive around in flash cars. He'll probably have an attitude with it. Now, the one that's worked, he'll probably realize the hard work he put in. He'll realize he could lose at any minute if he takes an eye off the prize, and he'll keep building a company, but also enjoy the rewards of his hard work.
Yeah.
And that is equivalent to me, not putting anybody down, but that's equivalent to someone doing traditional, having a foundation, and someone who just walks up out the street and within 5 years become successful.
Well, I tell you what. I was. Me and Jackie, we're big advocates of. We listen to a lot of audiobooks. We listen to a lot of podcasts. We read a lot. We're really into the business side, and it's well known now. It's well documented that people like Google and Amazon and people like that, a lot of the big companies, they're now looking for people that to become in their management roles who have also become successful in sports. Yes, so they're actually looking for, like, if you become a professional golf player, or if you become a professional martial artist, or you become they know that they've got this sort of characteristics that they're looking to run their business. They've got that determination, they've got that perseverance, they don't give up quickly. They're not frightened of the fear of failure, and it goes hand in hand, in everything that you do.
That's why a lot of the YouTube, if you look on YouTube, there's a lot of people that speak about perseverance and, how to keep going and achieving, never quitting. It's all mainly sportsmen or people who've achieved great things, actors, you name it. They're very good talkers because they've been put down and they keep coming up. They've been held back. They've had things happen to them, and it's what they did to get to.
They find a way, don't they?
Yes.
They find a way.
Yeah, and they pass it on. And that's the greatest thing you can do. Pass on that knowledge.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Well, it sounds.
Okay, Mark. I know that you're gonna be dashing out the door in a second, Mark. So we're gonna have to start wrapping up, unfortunately.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I know. So one question that we ask all our guests. In fact, we're gonna ask you two because you're one of the superstars that we've interviewed on our show. So firstly, what motivates you to get up in the morning?
I think the biggest thing is I did martial arts for youth, to longevity, and that's why I don't really drink. I've never done drugs ever. I don't even eat meat. I only eat chicken. I'm very funny about what I put in my body, and because I want to have longevity in life. Every time I wake up in the morning, I'm motivated to do the best I can, be the best I can be. There's certain goals I've had from a young age. At 20, going into business, I've always invested in ISA. By the time I was 40, I had more money in there than I could believe. Things like that. I set goals of paying off my mortgage. I just want to know that when I retire, which I retired really, because I tend to do this for the rest of my life anyway. But
don't really retire these days.
But I've retired to a point. But obviously, when I retire even more, I want to go on holidays more with my wife. But I always said to myself, I want to be active, go on holidays when I choose. I want to be able to help my family if they get any problems. What motivates me when I wake up in the morning is to do more, to do better. And I always believe there's something more to achieve. And when I think it's over, then all of a sudden I realize, hold on a minute, there's something else I can do. So I'm motivated to find out what next challenge my life is going to give me without me even asking for it. And whatever it gives me, I accept it with open arms because it's amazing. Like doing this with you now, that is a bonus. Anything to do with my past is what I'm doing present. And it's like, to me, it's saying, Mark, well done, pat on the back. Now you're going to get this. And that's why, like, today I was looking forward to this because it's another way of like showing that my hard work's paid off.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jackie always say, and one of our mottos is we just say yes to everything. Anybody asks you to do something, you just say yes to it, right? If it's something you've never done before, can you guys do this? Yeah, we could do that, and we'll figure out how to do it along the journey. You know what I mean? But because you never know what opportunities open up to you when you put yourself out there and you take action in whatever it is. Opportunities just open up, don't they?
Yeah, they said the person who gets more opportunities put themselves in more places than others.
Yeah.
It appears.
Okay. And the final one, Mark, final question then. What advice would you give to a younger you, given your experiences and the knowledge you have today?
The biggest thing I probably would have said is be a bit more conscious about myself, because I think I gave a lot to others, probably too much, and in doing that, I sort of like never push myself on a path. My path is great, but it's other opportunities I could have had if I never focused my energy on the people around me, students mainly, because sometimes you might do stuff for people, but in the end, they're not grateful, and it's whatever you're giving them, they just pick up and go. So always only give someone which you're willing to lose, not too much of yourself. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. And,
very contradictive, very contradictive, but I believe that don't give too much of yourself, just give what you can afford to lose. And that's it for students.
Now, one thing my dad said to me, God, must have been when he started his classes, martial arts classes, never fall in love with your students. Not in a romantic way, but you've got great students. You put your everything into them, because eventually, what happens to them, Gavin?
They'll leave. They'll leave. Right?
They leave, and you've put so much into them emotionally, and it can be the first time it's almost devastating. But actually, you learn that you're right. Only give what you can afford to lose. Mark, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on this morning.
Okay, I appreciate that. I was just going to say on that note, basically, I was going to say, basically, is with your students, it's relationships. And when a relationship breaks up, you're upset.
Yeah, sure. Okay, buddy. Thank you
I appreciate
very much for your time, Mark. We really appreciate it.
No, it's been great. Been great. Thank you very much, Mark.
Okay, no problem. See you later.
Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Don't forget to like our Facebook page and our Facebook group, The Motivated Martial Artist Podcast.
Or check us out on Instagram, The Motivated Martial Artists,
where you'll see much more content and early insight into some of the interviews and some of the guests and some of the conversations around the things that we're discussing. Hope to see you all next week.
Bye for now.
Bye.